Boston Bruins are rolling lately, but two key players have gone cold over the past couple of weeks. And in order to help fix the situation, head coach Jim Montgomery has put them on the same line. Let's discuss that and more on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
Your Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked B. Today is Tuesday, April 9th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine. Free and available on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And the Bruins are hoping to get it started tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes, their second game against this team over the past week. They're coming off wins over those Hurricanes and the Florida Panthers in their past two. And they'll be looking to get a couple guys running a bit warmer who have been cold over the past couple weeks. We'll discuss Jake DeBrusk, Trent Frederic, as well as update the power rankings and preview tonight's game against the Hurricanes. First, a quick reminder, you can find the podcast on social media at Locked NHL Bruins. You can find me, my dad jokes, hockey thoughts at Ian C. McLaren. All right, the Bruins are on a 4-game winning streak, but there's a couple players who have run cold here over the past couple of weeks, and they really need to get these guys going. Namely, Trent Frederic and Jake DeBrusk. Over their past 7 games, they've combined for 2 points. Frederic with 1 goal in 7 games, and Jake DeBrusk with 1 assist in his past 7 games. To try to get them going, Jim Montgomery put them on a third line with Jesper Boqvist, who isn't necessarily running hot either. He's only got 1 goal over his past 7, but that goal was the overtime winner over the Panthers on Saturday. Jake DeBrusk said that the first game with that trio was a little sloppy. They haven't played together at all. Anything with chemistry takes a little bit of time, but Boqvist getting that overtime winner hopefully helps the line out and gives them a little bit of confidence. This is courtesy of Belle Fraser from the Hockey News, who's been on the podcast recently. Hope to have her on soon as well. Now, with DeBrusk being bumped down to the third line, it means Morgan Geekie is playing currently on the second line. It raises the question as to whether we should be doing this amount of tinkering this close to the playoffs. Do you try to find something that works, or do you let them play through it and keep them with the players that they have been playing with most of the season? Now, when it comes to Boqvist overtime goal, DeBrusk was on the bench, or he was, he witnessed that. He's more used to playing in the top 6, but Jim Montgomery said he likes the new speed on the third line by putting DeBrusk with Boqvist at center, and it pushes the pace. DeBrusk said something that he's always wanted is a fast centerman, someone you can go on rushes with and things of that nature. Didn't really get that with David Krejci or Patrice Bergeron for that matter. Not the speediest guys, but they're just trying to get these guys going. And while Trent Frederic has been very good this season, he too has gone cold. And Montgomery said Freddie's just got to be Freddie. He's got to be that guy that's heavy, that owns pucks below the goal line and plays with pace and emotion. Again, both guys have combined for 2 points in the past 7 games combined. Now, overall, they've had decent seasons. Frederic ranks 6th on the team in scoring they both are tied with 18 goals and 21 assists apiece for 39 points, although DeBrusk has done it in 2 fewer games. In order for the Bruins to have any amount of playoff success, they need both of these guys to get going. This line will be deployed tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes, and hopefully they can find some measure of success. Frederic, he needs to get back to his identity as a hard-checking nose for the net. He's working hard to get back to that on a nightly basis, but again, there's some streaks that come on. DeBrusk was on a hot streak from like March 4th to near the end of March with 12 points in 10 games. But again, that consistency just isn't there. He's not able to put it together and remain consistent. He's a very streaky player. Could be part of the reason why he does not yet have a long-term deal moving forward. Hopefully, this trio together can find something. And Montgomery said he does like the new speed on the third line by putting DeBrusk with Boqvist. You get Frederic, playing below the goal line or in front of the net, and maybe they could have something. It's also an opportunity for Morgan Geekie to build on his pretty successful season. He's only 1 point back of both DeBrusk and Frederic. The Bruins really need that secondary, tertiary scoring. They're getting contributions from the fourth line. And don't forget, Pat Maroon might soon be back in the lineup. He's targeting a Saturday return against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So if one of these guys doesn't find it soon, I mean, there's no danger of DeBrusk or Frederic being scratched per se, but Maroon could take some of their valuable ice time if he starts on the third line, and you see maybe Trent Frederic take a back seat and go on the fourth line. As of right now, the lines in practice yesterday in advance of tonight's game, you had the top line, which remains intact. Danton Heinen, Pavel Zacha, David Pastrnak. As I mentioned, you have Marchand playing with Coyle and Geekie. DeBrusk with Boqvist and Frederic. And then the fourth line was Van Riemsdyk with Beecher and Lauko. And Maroon was at practice on Monday and could soon be making a return. There's only 4 regular season games left, and he's targeting Saturday's game against Pittsburgh for that return. On the blue line, we had Lindholm skating with McAvoy, Grzelcyk with Carlo, and then Witherspoon and Andrew Peeke were skating together on the third pairing. So Spoons might get a look there with Shattenkirk taking a back seat. Maroon, Brazo out currently due to injury. Brazo still week to week, and it sounds like it truly is week to week. Montgomery said yesterday, don't ask him next week because likely out for the regular season. Maroon, though, is closer, and somebody's going to have to come out. So tonight is as good a time as any to secure that spot in the lineup. We'll preview tonight's game later on in the show, but coming up next, we will update the Eastern Conference power rankings. FanDuel is where you want to be to make all your bets here in 2024. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is the place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. You can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get in on the action. You can even place a bet on tonight's Bruins Hurricanes game. The over-under on that one is set at 5.5. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make your first bet an automatic win with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you so much once again for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine, free and available on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, check out the Locked On Sports Today free 24/7 streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories, can't miss analysis, opinions, and more, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this week, Locked On NHL hosts are voting for the Eastern Conference Power Rankings. So I thought I would do that here live on the podcast today, answering my rankings. And of course, we're going to put let's start at the bottom and work our way up, shall we? Eastern Conference Power Rankings. The bottom of the conference, there's some pretty bad teams down there. The Columbus Blue Jackets, far and away the worst team. So let's just pencil them in at 16, with the Montreal Canadiens coming in 15th. The Ottawa Senators, Buffalo Sabres, New Jersey Devils, all pretty much on the outside looking in. So we'll put them near the bottom as well. Ottawa, Buffalo, New Jersey, 14, 13, and 12, respectively. Now, when it comes to teams that are still kind of in playoff contention, we've been talking about how there's a bit of a bunch near the in the Metro Division still vying for wildcard spots. And right now you have the Philadelphia Flyers on a 2-game losing streak, but still within striking distance of a wildcard spot. The wildcard is held right now by the Detroit Red Wings, the second wildcard spot. The Pittsburgh Penguins are level with Detroit at 84 points, with the Capitals and Flyers each with 83 points. When it comes to point percentage, Philadelphia is 11th right now, and they also have a minus 23 goal differential, so we're going to put them in 11th this week. And really, I mean, the Pittsburgh Penguins are .001 behind the Capitals in terms of point percentage. But we're going to give the edge to Pittsburgh here because the Capitals have a minus 41 goal differential, which is just pretty atrocious. So we're going to put the Capitals in 10th and the Penguins at 9th. That brings us to the top 8. And again, like I talked about on yesterday's podcast, the NHL playoff format really needs to be fixed. The Red Wings are in 8th at the moment, 1 point back of the New York Islanders. The Islanders, though, have a minus 23 goal differential. So when you're talking about like power rankings, you could be tempted to put the Penguins ahead of the Islanders. In fact, that's what I'm going to do because the Islanders, I mean, they're kind of a joke. So I'm going to put the Penguins at 8, the Islanders at 9, and the Detroit Red Wings at 7. Okay, let's just do it like that. What that means, though, is that there's like 6 bona fide good teams in the East. There is a very good team in the Detroit Red Wings that could be bounced because the Islanders could end up 3rd in the Metropolitan Division. That's where they are at the moment, 3rd in the division. So they could get a playoff spot over Detroit despite having fewer points. That's conceivable. It could happen, which is just a complete joke in my estimation. But when it comes to the top 6 teams, it's pretty clear. Right now, you have Tampa in 6th. That's where the Bruins are lined up to play in round 1 at the moment, which is a bit of a travesty. You have in 5th, the Toronto Maple Leafs at 99 points. We'll put them in 5th. Then you have the Panthers in fourth. They have 102 points. So we'll put them fourth in our power rankings this week. And then the top three, you have Boston's opponent tonight in the Carolina Hurricanes, the Bruins in second, and the New York Rangers in first place. Could the Bruins catch the Rangers atop the Eastern Conference? It's possible. They're 3 points back, 4 games remaining for each team. Let's just see who the Rangers have on the schedule compared to who the Bruins have. The Rangers play tonight against the New York Islanders, a team fighting for their lives. Then they play against the Flyers on Thursday, another team fighting for their playoff lives. They play the Islanders again, and then they will play the Ottawa Senators to wrap up the regular season. So 2 big games against the Islanders for the New York Rangers, which the Islanders, if they're looking to secure a spot, could really play spoiler there. The Bruins have the Hurricanes tonight with the Penguins on Saturday, and then they play the Capitals and the Senators. So 2 winnable games, 3 winnable games to wrap up, although those games will be played within 4 days, which could be a disadvantage for the Bruins. Now, the Bruins could conceivably clinch the Atlantic Division as early as tonight. And here is how that can happen according to NHL PR. The Bruins can secure consecutive division titles for the first time in 12 years with if they defeat the Hurricanes in any fashion, and both of the following have to occur. The Leafs have to lose to the Devils in any fashion, and the Panthers have to lose to the Senators in regulation. So keep an eye on the Leafs and Devils, Panthers and Senators. The Bruins have to beat the Hurricanes, regulation or overtime or shootout, and the Leafs have to lose to the Devils in any fashion, and the Panthers have to lose to the Senators in regulation. It's not an either or there. Both of those things have to occur. Now we're going to preview tonight's game against the Carolina Hurricanes here as the podcast continues. Win big playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is pick whether studs like Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, David Pastrnak will record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times your bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats, and that does include goaltender stats. So you heard me, Bruins fans. Win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper by paying attention and nailing your picks. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions do apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Bruins Hurricanes tonight for the second time in a week, and the Bruins will be looking to finish off the season series with the win. The Bruins lost to the Hurricanes back on January 24th by a score of 3-2. They won just last week by a score of 4-1, and the season series will be decided tonight. This is a potential Eastern Conference Finals preview, and the Hurricanes are coming into this one. Well, both teams are pretty hot. Boston has won 4 games in a row. They are 7-3 over their past 10 games, and those 4 wins have come against playoff hopeful teams at the very least, with Washington, Nashville, Carolina, and Florida. The Hurricanes have won 4 of their past 5 against some lesser opponents: Detroit, Montreal, Washington, and Columbus. Their one loss in those past 5 games coming against the Bruins. Now, they made a pretty solid trade deadline acquisition in Jake Guentzel, who leads the team with 9 points over their past 5 games, 3 goals, 6 assists. Pavel Zacha leads the way for the Bruins in scoring over the past 5 with 1 goal and 6 assists. David Pastrnak with 2 goals over his past 5, so look for him to possibly break out here tonight. Break out, as if that's necessary, but you know what I mean, get a little bit hotter. Now, I believe it was Frederik Andersen who started the previous game for the Hurricanes, so it could be Peter Kochetkov in net for them. He's got a .910 save percentage, 21, 13, and 4. A true Calder candidate this year as Rookie of the Year. Should be up there in the conversation with Connor Bedard and Brock Faber. For the Bruins, if the rotation holds, who was it that played on Saturday? That was Linus Ullmark. So it could be Jeremy Swayman. He beat the Hurricanes last week, stopping 29 of 30 shots with a .966 save percentage, .917 overall for the season. The Hurricanes are an exceptional special teams club, second on the power play, first on the penalty kill. They're 6th ranked when it comes to faceoffs, the 8th ranked offense, and 3rd ranked defense. This is a very good team, and they only got better after the trade deadline because of the acquisition of Guentzel. They added Evgeny Kuznetsov, and Frederik Andersen, since coming back from that blood clot issue, has been excellent as well. So this is a team to be reckoned with, surely, and they could very well come out of the Eastern Conference. They have very strong underlying numbers as well. They're the top team at 5-on-5 in terms of shot attempt differential. They're the top team at 5-on-5 in terms of shot differential. When it comes to scoring chances, they're also the top team. High danger chances, they rank second to only the Edmonton Oilers. So you combine those strong 5-on-5 numbers with their exceptional special teams, and I would not be surprised if this team comes out of the Eastern Conference this year, especially with the goaltending they have been getting as of late. So don't think that the Hurricanes won't be wanting to erase the loss last week. Don't think that they don't want to take this season series from the Bruins. And this should be a very good game tonight between these two teams. And you can catch it 7 p.m. Eastern time from the Garden. Not Boston's final home game, but they're getting there, right? There's only 4 games remaining on the schedule. The Bruins will host the Hurricanes tonight, head out for 2 games in Pittsburgh and Washington, but not till later on, as they will have 3 days off after this one, and then they'll wrap up the season and the home schedule next Tuesday against the Ottawa Senators. Thank you so much for joining me once again on today's podcast, my friends. I really do appreciate all the support and for all the comments on yesterday's episode about the playoff format. A lot of us agreeing that they need to go back to 1-8. 1-16 would be ideal. But you got to play who you got to play. You got to win 4 rounds to make it to the Stanley Cup championship. And just got to take care of business. Just win, baby. That's what the Bruins hope to do tonight against Carolina. Please do take care of yourselves, friends. Take care of each other. We'll talk to you again here tomorrow on Locked On Boston Bruins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.